You like to drink tequila, and so do we. Pour a glass as we learn about tequila together on this episode of The Tequila Tester.
Hello and welcome to this episode of The Tequila Tester. Today we have a table full of tequila and some great in-studio guests. Before we get to them, Gary, I have a question for you.
What you got, Brent?
This is going to directly impact if you get to taste this tequila or not, your answer to this.
Okay.
Are you ready?
For it.
Are you subscribed to our iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube channel?
And I share. How about
you
that?
You shared it too?
Come on.
All right, you get to try every single one on this.
I'm here for it.
All right. Well, let's get to it. We have an interview with Robert Tijerina and Casey Hartle with Titanium Tequila. How are y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing great.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming out here. Lots of traffic on your way, I'm sure, depending on where you live.
Always, yeah. Thank you very much. Always fun doing these, and it's an honor to be here that you have chosen us to come. And
yeah, definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the brand and maybe how it started?
Sure. Back, let me see. I'll try to give you the shorter version. My family has always been in aviation. My father was worked at NASA for many years. I began my aviation company back in the early 90s. And my family, being from Mexico, felt like over the years there was somewhat of a loss of a premium quality 100% agave tequila. And a customer of mine years ago in Mexico that I had sold some jets to, him and I were in discussions about tequilas and so forth, so we both kind of came up with the idea to start this line of tequila. And then back in the mid-'90s, I dabbled with another major brand back then, but yeah.
Yeah, Sergio and Robert kind of sat down and put their heads together and thought that they could do it, do it better and try their best to make the best tequila out there, because so many of the 100% agaves have kind of there's so many choices now. It used to mean something if it said something. It would mean something if it said 100% agave on the label. Nowadays, you're getting some bottom dwellers where the process isn't the same. They aren't abiding by the same quality. So their goal was kind of to raise the quality and put out a great product at a reasonable price for people to enjoy.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about the process?
We have our own agave fields outside of Tepatitlan, the highlands of Jalisco. We don't use any chemicals or pesticides on our agave, so it starts with the best ingredients. We try to kind of mix our modern technology with old-fashioned standards, and we our master distiller, he's incredible with that. We do use a stainless steel autoclave to slow roast our agave. It's a much more efficient process. It wastes less agave. It cooks evenly. There's no bacteria that you get from some of the open ovens. One thing that we do though is you can flash roast with the autoclave. We still slow roast. We'll take 20 to 30 hours to slow roast our agave, so it still has a nice, robust flavor and really brings out the sugars before you ferment. Then we open air ferment our agave. And then after that, we distill it twice in copper stills.
Okay.
After our double distillation, our aged tequilas are all aged in once used double charred bourbon barrels.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm very, very familiar with beer yeast.
Mm-hmm.
I know on your website it specifically says special strand of yeast is used. Can you talk about tequila yeast a little bit? We haven't discussed much about that.
I can't get into specifics about it. It's a proprietary strand of yeast. The one thing a lot of people don't understand is any liquor, tequila, bourbon, vodka, anything, your master distiller really is a chemist with a palate, right? It's chemistry. And the way that they can really control the outcome outside of ingredients and if it's a copper still, column still, those different things, is through the yeast that you use to ferment. It's a huge impact on what you're doing. So our master distiller kind of worked with and perfected the strand of yeast that we used for the fermenting process, which begins with our Blanco tequila, and then again the aging process through the barrels really does make a difference as it goes. But that's really where you have a lot of control in the initial part of making your product, whether it's tequila or any other spirit, is through that fermenting process.
And you don't want to give away the trades.
No.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, I'm gonna dig a little bit, see how much proprietary this is. You don't have to answer it, obviously, but So with beer yeast, when you're fermenting, there's certain yeast that can only ferment up to a certain percentage of alcohol. I guess before it's distilled. How much tolerance is your yeast? Do you know this? Is there like a 20% or what is there? Or is there a target you get to?
That I don't know. I'd have to ask our master distiller on
that's fine.
In particular, yeah, I don't know what his target is on that.
Okay.
Of course, it all comes out over proof, and then you have to you have to cut it to get it down to where you want it to be.
Yeah, I really haven't heard a lot about that part of the process in it, and we haven't at none of our shows we've talked about that before. So I was just curious how far we could get with it, or what. There's probably people smarter than that maybe need to be here. I don't know. Maybe like a distiller.
Yeah,
and a
guy distiller is definitely
somebody with the
smarter
name
than I am.
master in front of them.
Get them Skype in real quick.
Yeah, they're really with it,
Yeah. So you have the Blanco, the Reposado, the Anejo, and Ultra Aged.
Yes.
Let's just get right to it. So the Blanco, can you tell me a little bit about it? How long it's aged? Or?
Sure. The Blanco is 100% agave. Again, it starts with the great ingredients, the stranded yeast, the open air fermenting process, and then we let it mellow. You don't actually you never age 100% agave Blanco tequila. It's
right.
unaged, but we do allow it to mellow up to 2 months.
Okay.
It does vary from batch to batch how long that time really needs to be. It depends on the atmosphere, the kind of how hot it is, it takes a little bit of time for it to mellow, but we usually, I would say, around 2 months of mellowing before we'll bottle it.
All right, well let's taste it so we can talk about some of the flavors, and
sure.
Maybe we can get into a little bit more of the process, or if there's any more details.
So the one thing with us, we are a Highlands agave, which will tend to create a little bit more flavor profile on the front of your palate. So I always recommend people, whenever you try our tequila, is a lot of people will make that, lack for a better term, that bitter beer face whenever they just shoot it back. Well, the one thing with a well-made 100% agave tequila, and particularly from the Highlands, you're going to have like a lighter, smoother tequila, a little less. Lowlands is good, but it's more of an earthy mineral flavor to it. So this will kind of reach the front of your palate a little bit more. So whenever you sip it, I always suggest give it not like a mouthwash swish, but a quick little swish in the front of your palate, and it actually opens up the flavor, and you actually will get more of the sweetness.
Nice.
And then you have no harsh burn as it goes down. Ours is very, very smooth on the back and a very refined finish. Whenever you just shoot it, any 100% agave is always going to have a hint of black pepper in it. And of course, you're doing it straight, so you're going to get alcohol. So if you just shoot it really quickly, all you're going to get is that full force of black pepper and alcohol, instead of actually opening it up and letting it enjoy the flavor of it.
Well, we sip and we test here, so
Yes.
we're not
So
shooting. Even though they're in shooters, we're still sipping.
So salud.
Salud.
Right.
Yeah, so I do. When I smell it, I get the pepper, like green, earthy kind of aromas.
A little bit, yeah.
You get that agave forward, but a really smooth finish.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So for cocktails, this go-to or margaritas, or if
you can use it for cocktails. We try to keep our price point. We're a premium, but we're not overpriced. You're looking at our retail price of around $32.99 for our Blanco.
Okay.
So it can be used in cocktails. I do feel that our Blanco is one that you can sip. You can put on the rocks and drink it neat. Not all Blancos are that way. Putting it on the rocks opens it up a little bit.
Right.
You'll really notice that with our aged tequilas.
Sure. Yep.
And I'll get to that a little more when we get to that area. But it really is. It makes for a great mix, because if you notice, it does. It's a little warm because it's you're getting the alcohol, but then after that, it doesn't have that harsh, lingering burn that so many tequilas, Blanco tequilas in particular, will have, where it kind of sits on you.
Agreed.
So whenever you put it in a cocktail, we have a great mixologist, Jojo Martinez. She does wonderful work with all of our tequilas, but it really enhances a cocktail because it gives you that nice forward agave flavor. But that smooth, refined finish allows the cocktail to kind of blend and meld together, because it's not like that burn you, lingering flavor. It actually will give you the full flavor you want of the agave, but it'll also accept the other flavors of the cocktail to make a great drink.
Is she the one on the video on your website?
No, that's
somebody
not
else?
JoJo,
Okay.
but we will have some videos fairly soon, and we'll be doing a YouTube channel with
great.
with several different. We have several cocktails that she's created, and we're just now kind of getting around to actually shooting her
Okay, and that's titaniumtequila.com, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it also won 2 gold medals in the World Spirits.
Nice. That's always good.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Congratulations.
All of these have always placed.
Yeah.
And got a medal.
We're proud to say that we've never entered a competition and not placed or won in any
that's
competition.
very
We haven't
good.
always won, but we've always placed every single time. So,
That's
Sweet.
great.
yeah.
That speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about the packaging? I like the style. I know you changed it at one point.
Yes.
From the original bottle, which was our first one out, we put a lot of effort and thought into this one for many reasons. One, it's a very unique bottle in its own design. Fits on the shelf.
Yeah, each one. We wanted it to be, practical and have a kind of a classic beauty to it. It's unique. It was, as far as I know, the first octagon-shaped tequila bottle on the market.
Nice.
Each one has a nice classic design on the side. Each one is different. They're color-coded, so you can easily identify which is which.
You should get a promotional tie-in with the UFC, huh?
Yeah.
Octagon. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I was-
if y'all do that, I get a permission or
There
a
you go.
percentage of it, unless you.
I did amateur
Oh, did
MMA,
you?
so yes.
There you go.
And did someone come up with the graphics themselves? Was it an inside artist or something you saw
Sergio in Mexico, our partner in Mexico, he created the designs
Very
for those.
creative in that.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
great. He's great.
We
with
had a
color.
lot of input. And Casey
Yeah,
had a lot of
back and
input,
forth,
and
and-
myself on different things, the wording.
Yeah, I
We
like the
changed letter
design.
style.
the font?
Yeah.
Everything, and
The and if you don't mind me kind of going off on a little side
Oh, go
tangent
for it.
here, that just kind of reminded me too. Some people ask because I'm looking at our we call this our angel logo on the back,
Yep.
and it's also on the cork and it's on the front as well.
I don't
But
know if they could see that on camera. I was
Right.
going to hold it up. but-
There you go.
there you go. You can see it
Yeah.
here maybe. The angel logo and the name titanium. Some people ask. They say, "Well, that's not a very Hispanic word. Titanium, is it? You guys are an authentic brand. You're Mexican and Mexican American owned brand, and why the name titanium?" And the name kind of came from Robert's background, as he was saying earlier, in aviation. When his dad and his dad in particular, but when his dad came from Mexico, he got a job as a photographer.
Yep.
He was a photographer for NASA. His brother works at NASA, and Robert's in the aviation field. So we tried to come up with something that we felt represented his history and background as the primary owner, funder, and founder of the brand, and also represented our tequila. And we settled on titanium because titanium is a lightweight, powerful yet smooth and
powerful.
luxurious metal. And we feel like with our tequila, again, you get a nice, powerful agave flavor, but it has a very smooth, refined, and luxurious finish to it. So the name does have meaning to us, and also the word titanium it's part of the periodic table. It may not be a Spanish word, but it's not an American word. It's universally known.
Sure.
It's,
Oh, yeah.
It's
Science.
it's science, exactly. And then to the angel logo, again, has to do with flight, and that's kind of where we got the logo for the angel. And also it has a little bit of a homage to agave fields, because agave fields originally, and still to this day, are pollinated by bats. So the
Nice.
pollination of bats. So it's an angel logo, but also kind of works with the bats, and it has a tie into the history of tequila as
Need
well.
to make sure I donate to any bat foundations, right?
Right.
That's right.
I love that though. Aesthetics matter, and
Yeah.
not all Anejos or anything Blancos are made equally.
Yes.
But I tell you what, when the bottle stands out on that shelf,
Yeah.
there's a higher likelihood of someone grabbing it and doing some discovery.
Right.
So
We're also one of the few, or maybe only, brands that actually have the writing
Vertically.
Yeah.
instead of horizontal. We could have gone and taken a cheap bottle and just put a sticker like a lot of people do.
Right. Yeah.
And the product would
I've
still be
seen
great,
those.
but this process takes a while. It's a 4-step process, and it takes time. It goes into ovens, and everything gets
'Cause
baked on there.
The thing that we wanted was it's arguable, and everybody has a different palate, but we want to make the best tequila in the world. We give an honest effort, and hopefully when you taste them, you'll think they're great. I know everybody has their own preference, but we try to make the best tequila in the world. And also we wanted to have a package that made you feel good about drinking the tequila, and feeling like it's good. But our price point, again, we're not cheap, but we're not on the upper high end of premiums. We tried to make it as affordable as possible, so people can enjoy it on a regular basis. Our Ultra Aged, for example, we've placed above several high-end brands that go for $125 for
Nice.
$300. I'm not going to say specific names.
Yeah,
but
you don't have to.
the Ultimate Spirits Challenge in New York, we got a 94, and we beat several of the top-end brands. And our suggested retail for that's $51.99, which again is not cheap, but compared to those,
No, that's a good.
it's
that's a good
half the
price
price.
point
It's
for
a great
those.
price for
Yeah.
the Ultra.
Yeah.
And our all the way through to our Anejo is around $39.99. So our Anejo is less than some of these other brands, Blanco.
Yeah.
Depending on who they are, or Reposado, and we try to keep it at a reasonable price point, but still stay in business.
Yeah.
You
That's
can only go
smart
so inexpensive.
Yeah, and
but
before we taste the Reposado, as I was spinning this bottle around, I just want to mention that they're based out of Houston, Texas.
our business office is in Houston, and we do have a partner in Mexico that oversees the operations. Yes.
I just thought I'd mention that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Support Texas brand.
Yeah, we are
Right.
Houston.
Indeed.
All right, let's go to the Reposado.
Okay. Again, the Reposado is aged. All of our tequilas are aged in
you,
once
sir.
used.
I guess I
double
get this
charred.
one with a lot of it in it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Won't
Double
complain
charred.
about that.
The host with the most.
Right. The bourbon barrels are
Here's
double
the-
charred.
For those of you on our YouTube video, you can see the bottle here.
So you notice it has like
Color-coded.
It has enough of the barrel aging. I don't mind saying we age it 8 months. By category law, Reposado has to be aged a minimum of 2 months and short of a year. So you only have so much of a window to age it. Ours is 8 months. It's enough to kind of cut back on that black pepper that you get from all Blancos. It gives it a little bit more of a complex flavor, but it's not quite enough to get the full bourbon sweetness that you get from the bourbon barrels. It just kind of adds a little complexity. We can't really do it here, but from our Reposado to our Ultra Aged, very much like a bourbon or a Scotch or any whiskey, dropping an ice cube in it will open it up and create even more flavor profiles.
And you had mentioned something before we went on air about the barrels. Can you just tell us what you can say about the barrels that they're aged in?
Yeah, we do. I can't say who we buy them from. We don't have the rights to that company. But we do source a particular bourbon because we like the way that it marries with our tequila. And also, the one thing that I think we do that's a little different is we do use once used bourbon barrels. Once you buy a bourbon barrel, you can fill it up to 3 more times afterwards. We actually like the way that it marries with our tequila, so we only use it once.
One time, okay.
Like literally a once used.
And then did they just discard it, or?
Well, there's other tequila makers in the region that we can
that's
sell
good.
to, so it's not a total loss.
yeah, nice.
So, yeah. But it's once used because of the marrying process. Because when you fill it again, you'll still get the oak aging, but then you lose the marrying process, which kind of makes it unique.
Sure.
So to create batch consistency, we want to use the same process each time.
Obviously, consistency is key.
Yeah.
And I could tell that, as you mentioned, that pepper flavor taste does kind of subside a bit as we move down or up in the aging.
Right.
So, yeah, this is great.
And you can smell the sweetness, a little bit of the barrel. Pepper.
We also
Very
put
smooth.
some codes on the bottle to show the birth date of the product.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if you
I
can
didn't even notice that.
That's one thing I don't want to say we're the only ones that do it, but I know it's something that we purposely have done.
No, you're fine.
Somewhere on here, it's hard to see.
It's harder to see on that one. It's on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, I see
that way
something
if
stamped in.
That the reason for that is it's a batch number,
Yeah.
similar to a born on date or what. The thing that we want to do is, and it's difficult for me to explain in this format, but the one thing we want to do is unlike a lot of tequila makers, the one thing that you're allowed to do with 100% agave tequila is you can strip things away from it, but you can't add to it. If it's 100% agave, it has to be bottled at the distillery in Mexico, overseen by the CRT. They have strict standards. You can't add coloring, flavor, all these different things. But the one thing you can do, and excuse me for mentioning a brand, but like a Don Julio 70, just as an example, the reason why they can have a aged tequila or a Casa Dragones that has an aged tequila, but it's clear, is you can oxidize it and take away flavor.
Okay.
So you
Yeah, I've
take away,
seen-
you're stripping it away, and it makes it for a unique flavor because it already had the age process, and you took it away, so it tastes different than a Blanco, but you've also stripped a lot away. I'm not personally a big fan of that because I feel if you're aging it, you're creating a new product.
Right.
Why do you want to take away from that to just
I've had
to be
some
different?
I think it was an Ultra Anejo that was clear.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's to each their own. As a tequila purist, that's not my favorite way to go about it. However, with with the one thing that we do with the batch numbers is we don't, and it shows up more in the Blanco. The barrels do make a difference with the aged, but the one thing that we don't do is we don't oxidize and take away flavor. So if you have a big name brand, and bear with me, if you have a big name brand and you have a set point as your consistent flavor, right? You're using a different batch. You're cooking a different batch of agave each time. It's a different fermenting environment. Everything's a little different each time you make a batch. The one thing that we never want to do, and we allow our master distiller to be an artist, and what he does is we don't want to strip away flavor. So we let the agave speak and we let the batch speak. So with the different batch numbers is, their point might be right here. Well, we might have this as our set point, but maybe this batch speaks a little bit more right here. We get a little bit more agave flavor. You might get a little bit, a little bit different in the fermenting process might create a little bit of a more mineral, more sweet flavor. Whatever it is, we let it speak so each batch kind of speaks on its own.
Okay.
Some people will say, well, does that mess with your consistency? Absolutely not. We get our agave from the same field. We have the same, where we're just talking about the same strand of yeast. Everything's the same, but just like anything that you do, if you're talking Kendall Jackson wine, they own their own grape fields, but they have a different vintage number for.
Right.
So they follow the same process. Everything should be consistent, but you notice a small difference.
Yeah. So you don't blend them though?
No.
Have you tried that at all?
I haven't.
No.
We don't blend. The one thing with this is, if you were to taste titanium today, and I brought another batch to you tomorrow, the next week, you taste it, you'd say, that's titanium tequila.
Okay.
That's great.
All right.
If I were to sit down and have both of them and you taste them side by side, there's a small, subtle difference.
Yeah.
So it has a small effect. It does not really change the consistency, but it's something where we allow the artistry of our master distiller to come out.
Nice.
It's one of the advantages of being a small batch brand. The small things that you can control to kind of show the artistry and be, again, using old school ways and new school ways to kind of create a product.
We're very hands-on, too. We're always down there every time we
Okay.
bottle, and every process we're checking bottles and always hands-on.
All
That
right.
way you keep consistency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Let's go to the añejo.
Añejo.
Thank you.
To me, the añejo is where you actually get the most give back from the once used bourbon barrel.
Okay.
When you get to the ultra age, it's aged so long that I feel like the Angel's Cut is already in the tequila, so you get more oak in
Yeah.
it because
And
you're
the
getting more
Angel's
of the,
Cut that's the evaporation.
yeah, it's what kind of what the barrel itself has absorbed.
Oh, absorbed,
So
okay,
it kind
okay,
of gives
gotcha.
back, because as it gets wet again, it gives back to the tequila, and that's why we only use the once used, because then it really only happens one time after
Okay.
you fill it. And when you get to the point of this being a little over a year and a half is the aging process, that's where it really is kind of giving back the most. So this one I get the most of that kind of sweetness, but it does have a nice agave finish to it. Where the ultra age will have more oak notes, pure oak notes.
Very interesting.
Yeah, but I do get that sweetness.
Everybody pulls a little something different, too.
Yeah.
Definitely the sweetness.
Yeah, and I like describing it. Usually I'll say pepper or smooth. I'm not like it smells like I'm in the ocean on a rowboat,
Right.
something like that. So
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I'm big about whenever I do a tequila dinner or tasting or anything, or I speak on it, is a lot of people will be a little pretentious in what they tell you should be tasting.
yeah,
The one thing I'll usually tell people, especially with the Blanco, is you get a nice full agave forward flavor and a smooth finish. As far as what you taste, really a lot of it has to do with what you eat on a regular basis, your diet.
Existing palate.
We could have two totally different answers, but neither one are wrong. It's just what we eat on a regular basis. That's what it brings to our mind, and that's what we do. So sometimes people try to intimidate people, not intimidate, but try to highbrow them and say,
Right.
this is what you should be
Right.
tasting. No, if I
you
taste
see that in the wine industry,
Right.
yeah, if you taste something in
Wine
particular,
snobs.
Yeah. Are you like that, Gary?
I'm not at all.
Because you're into wine.
I
huh?
am into wine, but I'm not like that.
All right.
yeah, I enjoy
I'm
it.
not that guy.
I've never had wine with you, so I couldn't tell you.
The wine taster. It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I love this. This is my best so far, but I do enjoy a good cognac, bourbon,
And
whiskey.
I'm
so-
glad you said that, because that is the biggest thing, is people don't understand the barrel aging process. It is a different product than the Blanco, is it not?
Yeah,
It's a totally different product. You still get the hint of agave, but the barrel makes a difference.
indeed.
It makes a big difference, and some people that say that, hey, I just don't really like tequila because they're set on Blanco or they're set just on a margarita. They're not a fan of margarita. You can make an old fashioned with this. You really can. You can do this on the rocks and do it. Just let it open up and let it breathe a little bit. Yep. There's a lot that you can do. When we get to the ultra age, my best friend he's in the Dallas area, Nathan Miller. He just swears that he can't do tequila because he had a bad experience in college. He's like, Casey, man, I love you. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I try to explain to him the difference between 100% agave and the quality, but he just that's right. So I came from Mexico. I had a sample of our ultra aged in an unmarked bottle. So I brought it out to him, and he thought it was whiskey. And I was like, I got this great new product. I want you to try. I want you to give this a shot. He's like, okay. So I poured it out. He had no idea what it was. He's like, oh my gosh, Casey, when did you guys start doing whiskey? Oh, that's so good. That's amazing. I was like tequila. That's now. Tequila, man. It's like, okay. So now he has a bottle at his house all the time. So,
But don't you agree, tequila has really, in the last 10 years, has really grown and changed and gotten a lot more sophisticated.
Oh, yeah, there's so many more brands, too, so maybe they're trying to compete for quality. That's important. Like you said, you're improving the bottle design so it stands out on the shelf.
Always. Yeah. Yep. Every detail.
Let's do the last one. We're just talking about more barrel time. So
yes, this one, our ultra age is actually a.
You want to hold the bottle up, Gary?
Yeah, sure. It's a base. We use 3.5 years our base, and we blend in some of our 5 year. The reason why when I say blend, it's all from the same. It's all our product and our same age barrels. We just blend 2 of our different age marks. We tried to do all 5 year initially, and it made the greatest bourbon whiskey you ever had. Not really bourbon whiskey, but it lost its hint of agave. And the thing with the ultra age category, the extra añejo, it's a minimum of 3 years, but there's no cap on what you put it to. So it's a matter of, do you want to make a whiskey at that point, or do you want to be a tequila purist and still have some agave? So we felt like the 3.5 year base with a blend of our 5 year gave it a lot of character, a lot of notes, but still get a hint of agave, so you still are pure with your tequila.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you.
I kid you not. That was phenomenal. I love that. Yeah.
And at the price point we have it at, we've beaten a lot of guys in competitions that are way more expensive. And it's been a catch-22 because we want to market to a broad audience. We want a lot of people to enjoy our tequila. And some people will look at it and say, hey, it's not so-and-so's brand that's $125. It can't be as good.
Right.
I will sit down, and not to say that they're bad. Yeah. I am very proud of our product. I know the effort we put into it, the aging process, everything. Even getting it down to that particular blend that we wanted to have to make it great. I will sit down with any of those big boys and go head to head. And, I'm confident more times than not that we'll win, but you definitely won't walk away from that table saying, wow, that cost half as much. You'll be like, you're right on par. We didn't put it in a box. We didn't put it in a different bottle. We didn't do any of those things. We kept it about the juice that's inside the bottle.
That makes sense.
In a sales thing, you can always tell people, but when they drink it, we always let them be the judge. And when they drink it, that's like Casey was saying, that's where you really get it. And we just got back from, we're going to participate. It'll be our second year in the Aspen Food and Wine. Colorado's been a great state, one of many states that we're in now. And 2 weeks ago when I was there, and I did some tastings with some restaurants there in Aspen. You know how Aspen can kind of be. It's who's who and the best of the best. But everybody loved every single one. We're in a lot of restaurants and bars now, and especially the ultra age for the price point. The reaction that both of you had about how great it was is really good.
So where can we find Titanium Tequila?
You can find us locally here in Texas at the major chains. We're at Specs. We're at Total Wine. There's several. There's too many to name of the smaller.
You can find it. Do you have it listed on your website?
We don't. We should update that.
It changes a lot.
That's true. Yeah.
We used to do that with restaurants and retail stores. Really, we should do it on retail stores going forward. Restaurants are fickle. You're on the menu for 2 months, and then another brand comes in and they put that in, and you're like, oh, I thought I was on this menu, and then you're not. So it kind of gets hard to track, especially as we've now expanded into Oklahoma, Louisiana, Colorado, Nevada, and Arkansas is where we are.
Yeah, we are hardworking people. We've got a great team, especially Casey that leads everything. We don't have any big celebrity names. We don't have any big investors. It's just myself backing it. But we do one, it's almost like one bottle at a time, but we're really, really proud. And we're growing, and we're 6 states. Nevada was our latest addition that we have a full-time person there growing in Nevada.
I'll be there next week, so maybe I'll look out for it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys coming out.
Thank you so much.
Titanium Tequila.
Yeah, this has been great.
Tequila.com.
Yeah.
Yep. So normally at this time is where we have our sponsor, and I hold up a bottle of Margarita Texas Mix, but I did not bring a bottle of Margarita Texas Mix, so I have 0 Margarita Texas Mix bottles, which is the exact amount of high fructose corn syrup that is in Margarita Texas Mix.
that?
Look at that. So if you go to our website, margaritatexas.com, and you enter in Tequila Tester into the coupon code, you'll get 10% off. And also, as we mentioned at the beginning, if you subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you consume media, you can just search for the Tequila Tester, and we'd appreciate a review as well. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank
in.
both of you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Great
always
tequila,
a pleasure.
yeah.
Great tequila indeed.
All right.
Let's do this again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ultra style.
Right.